Hi everyone, and welcome back to Project Talks with Ankit. Here, I simplify PMP concepts and help you connect them with real world project scenarios. Now, today we are talking about one of the most ignored habits that can quietly create chaos in a project, the version control. Now, I know it sounds simple, but you have ever used a file with a confusing name like final use this one, final updated, final one, 1, 2, 3, then this video is definitely for you. Now you must remember, one of the simplest things that can make or break your project, something so basic that people often ignore it, is version control. I know it sounds boring until you have seen a project go off the rails because of the team using the wrong version of the plan. Today, I'll show you what version control really means in project management, how to set it up properly, and how it can save your project from chaos. Now, by the end of this video, you will understand what version control really means in project management, how to set it up the right way, and how it ties into PMP processes. So let's get started now. Before that, I have one question to ask. Have you ever worked on a project where no one knew which document version was final? Drop a yes in the comment if that sounds familiar. All right, now let's begin. Before we start, first thing first, project management version control is not the same as the version control in a software. Now, when most people hear version control, they think of Git or GitHub. But in project management, it means something different. And honestly, it is much more critical for alignment. Because while developers use version control to manage code, project managers use it to manage clarity. Let's break it down properly. Let me show you this. Now, let's see. The version control in software comes for software development or DevOps. It tracks changes in code file line by line. It uses tools like Git, GitHub, GitLab. Now, when it comes to document version control, which is project management, it is for the project and process management. It tracks revision of documents and plans. It uses tools like SharePoint, OneDrive, Confluence, Excel Tracker, etc. So you see, there's a clear difference. Make it more clear. The version control in tech world is all about source code management. Here, each developer works on their own branch, commits code, and merges the changes. It allows rollback, comparison, and collaboration without overwriting. It uses tools like Git, GitHub, Bitbucket. The focus is on the technical accuracy, code consistency, merging conflicts, etc. For example, let's say the developer A updates a login.js file, developer B updates user profile. Git tracks both of them and merges the changes. On the other hand, when it comes to version control in PMP, it's all about managing documents, project plans, risk registers, charters, schedules, etc. It focuses on traceability, approval, and control, not just tracking changes, but ensuring everyone uses the latest approved version. Now, this is managed through naming conventions, version tables, or document management systems. To give you an example, project managers updated the risk register from version 1.2 to version 1.3 after stakeholder review. New version is uploaded to the master folder with change log updates. Everyone refers to the single approved copy. Let's revise the core difference. All right. You can see the primary goal of a software version control is to enable multiple developers to collaborate on code safely. Whereas in the document version control, the primary goal is to ensure everyone refers to the same approved project document. What is the change type? It's a line by line code change in software version, but the whole document or a section is updated when it comes to the version control. Approval flow goes is quite automated through merge and reviews in software, but there are formal reviews and approvals with signatures or logs in document version control. The ownership of the software changes is developers and tech leads, whereas in version control of documents, it's project managers, PMOs, and stakeholders. Output is an executable software release. In the document version control, the outcome is an approved baseline document. So now that we have cleared the air, let's understand why version control matters. Now, we'll go to a study for that. According to PMI's Pulse of Profession report, nearly 37% of projects face rework or delay due to outdated document version. Now, you might be wondering, what about the other 63% of the projects? Well, those typically struggle due to other reasons. You can say like unclear requirements, poor communication, resource constraint, or lack of stakeholder alignment. But if you notice, version control actually connects to most of the issues. Let me give you an example. Now, you say unclear requirements often come up from working on the wrong version of the scope document. Someone is working on something else and the other person does not even know about it. So even though only 37% are directly hit by version mix-up, version control indirectly impacts almost every project. Let's take an example to understand it better. Again, meet Ankit, the project manager at Technova, leading a financial app project. Now, everything is on track. The scope is defined, the team is aligned, everyone is working together until a stakeholder says, wait, this isn't the latest version of the schedule. Now, Ankit gets confused and he goes back to check the document. When he opens the document, the nightmare begins. There are different, there are 5 files with similar names: Project Plan Final, Project Plan Final version 2, Project Plan Final version 2 updated, Project Plan Final version 2 updated new, and one of the most interesting one, Project Plan Final reviewed. Sounds familiar, right? Now, the multiple versions creates multiple confusions. A wrong version gives you wrong decisions. So now that we have understood the problem now, let's understand what exactly is a version control. In simple terms, it is a practice of tracking, labeling, and managing every change in your project document so everyone knows what's current, who changed it, and when. Think of it as a timeline of truth for your document. It ensures that no matter how many updates happen, there is always one source of approved current version, one source of truth. Now, how version control applies across PMP? Let's look at how version control fits into each phase of the PMP framework. Now, in the initiation phase, version control applies to documents like project charter, ensuring that any update to objectives or stakeholders are tracked and approved. Moving to planning phase, version control help manage evolving documents such as scope statement schedule, risk register, and communication plan. Now, this keeping all the stakeholders aligned on the latest approved version. During the execution, it used to track updates to the change log and deliverable tracker, making sure that any change are properly documented and versioned. In the monitoring and controlling phase, version control maintains consistency across status report and RAID logs. So everyone works with accurate, up-to-date information. Finally, in the closing phase, it ensures that the lesson learned and closure report are properly versioned, capturing the final approved insight for future reference. Version control, therefore, provides the backbone of document integrity across every phase of project management. Just a quick note here: if you're preparing for PMP, understanding document control and baseline is very crucial. They often appear in scenario based questions. So your concept needs to be really clear for that. Now that we have understood that, let's see how do we exactly set up the version control in project. Let me show you the exact document. Give me a second. Now, here's what a simple version history table looks like. Every change, no matter how small, is tracked with date, description, and approval. Notice that we have updated the document file name and the header with the latest version number. That way, there is zero confusion of what is happening. Now, this is your audit trail. It is your defense when someone says, but that wasn't in the approved version. Happens a lot, right? Let me show you the Excel as well. Now, this Excel tracker acts as your central document control register. It tells you exactly which document is correct, who's the owner, when it was last updated, and where it is stored. Now, even if your team uses Google Drive, SharePoint, or Confluence, maintaining this Excel tracker gives you complete visibility. So it's very important. Let's talk about the version control flow. Here's how a standard version control flow works. It starts with a draft, that's your working copy. Then it moves to review, where inputs and comments come in. Once finalized, it goes for approval. After approval, the version becomes your baseline, meaning it's officially logged and published. Any new edits after that creates an updated version. This simply helps teams stay organized and aligned. Now, once version is approved, it's time to lock it. Save the approved document as a PDF and label it as approved or baseline version. Why is very important. Once the version is approved and you're locking it, now save the approved document as a PDF, label it as approved or baseline version. Very important. Restrict any further editing after that. You can do this in Word using its restrict editing feature, or if you are using SharePoint, use check-in or check-out options. This is to ensure that no one accidentally changes your final version after approval. Trust me, it happens more times than when you can think of. Now, once your project grows, the version control and change management starts working hand in hand. Now let's connect version control and change management. Every approved change request should lead to a new document version. For example, if version 1.0 was your baseline and change is approved, your updated file becomes version 2.0. This way, every modification has a clear audit trail and complete traceability back to its change request. There are different tools that you can use. You can use Google Docs, SharePoint, Confluence, PMIS systems. Drop a comment if you want me to make a video on any of these, and I will definitely do that for you. Now let's talk about some of the common mistakes people make. The very first one is the scattered files. They keep files scattered across email and local drives. There has to be one place for that. Not updating version table after every major change, it becomes a disaster. Renaming file randomly without any consistency, that makes it worse. And most importantly, never delete the older version. Always ensure that the version is still safe, because you might need to go back to that to understand what the changes are. You may have to refer them time and again. Make sure that you're never deleting them. Some of the best practices, according to me, there should be one master folder. It should be at one place. Maintain an approval record, like I showed you in the Word document. Who's approving it, when it was approved. Maintain a document of that. It comes handy when people start asking questions. There should be a consistent naming, as we discussed before, and always archive your old versions. I believe I'm repeating myself. Let me give you a cheat sheet in the file naming guideline. Let's see. Now, in the Word document, your file naming convention should look something like: what is your project name, what is the doc type, and what is the version. So, if you talk about Technova, it should be project is Technova. It's a scope statement document, version 1.3. In the Excel, it should be your project name, document register. In the PDF, it should be project, document type, baseline approved version. Very important, guys. Please make sure that you guys are maintaining it. Very important. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about the key takeaways. Number one, Single source of truth. Always maintain a single source of truth for your documents, guys. Update version history religiously, never skip it. And number three, baseline approved documents to prevent unwanted changes. If you follow these, your version control process will stay clean, traceable, and fully audit ready. Now, before I wrap up, I just want to put my 2 cents. Version control isn't about paperwork, it's about clarity, accountability, and trust. Start version control from day one, and your future self will thank you. Drop in the comments what is the funniest file name that you have ever seen. Mine was final underscore use this one underscore really. It was quite funny. Now, if you find this useful, check out rest of my videos where I explain all the PMP concepts one at a time so that you can understand it better. Thank you guys.